Are you ready to feed your family in spite of whatever food crisis may arise?
Hi, I'm Kylene.
And I'm Jonathan, and we are the Provident Preppers. There's a lot of chatter out there about the possibility of food shortages in our future.
In this video, we will review the risk and help you understand some steps that you can take to make sure that you keep your family fed.
There is so much online about the coming food crisis and all the bad things that are going to result from that. The important thing for us to do is to separate fact from fiction.
No matter what you hear spread all over the internet, it's really important that you stay calm because there is no need to panic and evaluate the risk. And that's what we're going to do in this video today.
The United States Environmental Protection Agency has issued a notice about agricultural and natural events and disasters. The bottom line is there are some long-lasting effects and there are some things happening that we need to think about and prepare for.
The European Commission, in their Knowledge for Policy, has confirmed crop failures in many places, and they are attributing these failures to prolonged dry spells, irregular rainfall, tropical storms, flooding, drought, and late rainfall onset. We do not see any of this actually improving in our future. Oregon State is looking at how to assess the risk because weather is the leading cause of U.S. crop loss. An area of great concern to me is global hunger. More than 820 million people suffered from hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition worldwide last year. That's about 1 in every 9 people, according to the United Nations State of Food Insecurity and Nutrition in the World, 2019. The Associated Press reports that 10 million North Koreans are suffering from severe food shortages. And the Midwest flooding has killed livestock, ruined harvests, and has some farmers that won't even be planting this next year.
In Hawaii, they are struggling with the loss of pineapple and sugar production. That creates a difficult situation from them, not only from the production side, but also from the economic losses that creates.
And according to CNN Health, food will be scarce, expensive, and less nutritious as time goes on. Taking the articles that we just discussed along with others has helped us to identify that the risk is real. Now it's time for a wise prepper to mitigate.
History is replete with situations where there are food shortages and famines and all these things. This is not something that's new. It's just a part of our lives.
The most important thing we want to emphasize is that we do not want to be motivated by fear. When fear is your motivating factor, you make all kinds of impulsive decisions that you will regret later.
One example of this is Y2K. There was huge clamor and all kinds of panic, and this was promoted a lot by those with financial interests in it. As it turns out, it was almost a non-event. A lot of people did a lot of things that they probably wouldn't normally do just because the panic was what was motivating their thoughts.
And marketers took advantage of that. We want to do things in a reasonable way that is in no way connected to fear. Yes, we have challenges with our food supply on the horizon. Now, what are we going to do about it?
This is definitely a challenge that we can easily conquer. Design a reasonable mitigation plan, and then follow your plan. Accept that there will be changes needed, and plan to adapt for those. And be grateful for what we have.
So the first step in designing that plan is to evaluate our current standing. We need to improve resiliency and self-reliance, so let's figure out what we have to begin with. What's the status of your food reserve? What capability do you have to produce food at your home on your own property? What financial resources do you have that you can put toward this project? What tools and other resources do you have? What skills do you have that may need to be improved? And then what are the community resources that you have? This is not knowing that the Joneses have food storage and have fruit trees, and so when disaster strikes, you're going to go and visit the Joneses. This is not the kind of resource we're talking about. We're looking at, is there a place where you can help establish a community garden? Do you have farmers in your neighborhood that you can purchase potatoes from or that you might be able to purchase fruit from so that you can bottle it at home.
Also under community resources is the relationships that we build with others. It is important that we build good relationships so that we can help each other during times of crisis or challenge.
In community resources, we want to understand where our best bartering relationships are so that we know what we might be able to produce more of on our property and trade with someone else to make sure that all of our needs are met. We have evaluated the risk, we've identified our resources. Now it's time to develop a step-by-step plan of action. The first thing we recommend doing is to build a supply of the foods that you eat every day, a well-stocked pantry for at least 90 days that includes the foods that you eat every day so that you don't have to go to the grocery store for 3 months if that's what it takes for you to be okay.
We also strongly recommend that you stock up on life-sustaining basics, things like grains, pasta, oats, sugar, rice, beans.
These are the caloric foundation of your diet. By having long-term staples that will last for 25 to 30 years, you have the ability to fill your storeroom with basics that you don't have to rotate through every day if you don't want to, but could definitely make sure that your family doesn't go hungry when times get really tough. This is a type of hunger insurance that we think every family should invest in.
One of the significant things that you can do is increase the ability to grow your own vegetables year-round.
Everything that you can produce on your own property makes you more self-reliant. If you can only grow a tomato plant, grow that tomato plant. That is one more step toward being self-reliant. But the more of your food that you can produce on your own, the better off you will be and the higher your level of food security will be. Now is a great time to plant edibles on your property. Think about your landscape. Is there any way that you could plant a fruit or a nut tree in with your regular landscape? Nut trees take 10 years to establish. So today is the day that you need to get that planted, not when the food crisis happens. An example of a way that we have incorporated fruit trees into our landscape is that we needed a privacy hedge. We could have chosen from all kinds of different things to plant, but we knew that we needed to feed a lot of people. And so we decided to create a hedge out of apple trees. These apple trees, the first one ripens in August and the last one ripens in November. So we have 9 apple trees that will consecutively ripen throughout the season, significantly extending the time of year that we have fresh apples to eat, as well as being able to store them through the winter. Grapevines can add beauty and be grown in all kinds of different places in your landscape. They're gorgeous over arbors. And then think about edible ground covers. Everbearing strawberries are a perfect example of a ground cover that just exists, takes very little maintenance, and yet produces some valuable nutrition.
Now that you're growing fantastic foods on your property, the next step is learning how to preserve that harvest. How do you make this food not only useful today, but something that can sustain you through the winters or through long periods of time?
Apricots are a perfect example of a food with a very short shelf life. They are on for only a couple weeks. They don't store well, but we take our apricots and we turn them into apricot nectar, which is a favorite drink at our house.
Learn how to store crops throughout the winter. If you are blessed to have a root cellar, that's great, but there are other ways to get the job done. You can see here that we leave beets and carrots in the ground through the winter. We cover them with bags of leaves to insulate them. Throughout the winter, we can pull these leaf bags off and harvest amazing beets and carrots that taste so good. Something we do at our house, and maybe you can do also, is to raise chickens. They provide the potential for meat. More importantly, for our day-to-day use, we get eggs. And we get enough eggs that we can barter some of those for other things that we might need. One of the important skills that you can develop is the ability to bake and cook using the staples that you've stored.
It's one thing to have basic staples in your pantry. It's a whole nother thing to be able to take those basic foods and turn it into delicious foods that your family will want to eat. The kids and I created a really silly video that we entitled Roadkill or Gourmet Meal. And it's all about this family who has to wait at home for dad to go find some roadkill because they have nothing to eat. We decided to turn it around and do it Joan style. Joan style doesn't do roadkill. We do gourmet meal. The way that you're able to accomplish that is by storing food, by being able to produce some of your own food, and by knowing how to take those basics and turn them into something spectacular.
Roadkill or gourmet meal. It's totally up to you.
And if you delay making the choice of whether or not you're going to prepare too long, that choice gets made for you. And then you have the crisis happen and you are unprepared. Today is the day that you need to start taking slow, steady steps and build your family's food insurance policy so that no matter what happens, your family will be taken care of.
Our mission is to create amazing resources that you can use to get this job done. You can access these resources in two ways, either on our website, theprovidentprepper.org, or on our YouTube channel, The Provident Prepper. Don't let this overwhelm you. Any progress that you can make towards becoming more self-reliant will be a blessing to you and your family. As we work together, we can get through any challenge that may come to us.
And now for the question of the day. What steps are you taking to make your family more resilient against the changes in our food supply? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.